Welcome to today's discussion, the future of digital trust when identity and connectivity intersect together. I'm Veena Dandapani. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of SLC Digital. Joining me today are two phenomenal founders, Travis McGregor, CEO and founder of SLC Digital, and Mayor Efrati, CTO and founder of Monogoto. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So let's talk about the future of when digital identity and connectivity comes together. The world we live in today is hyper-connected. Our lives, where we eat, where we shop, where we, our social media, every device, every lifestyle is interconnected. And so is fraud. So 80% of adults globally were scammed in 2025. That is a staggering number. And fraud has become so sophisticated today that with deep fakes and AI models, enterprises are struggling to protect their consumers. So it's not because there is a lack of tools that are available to enterprises. In fact, if anything, enterprises have too many tools. So why is fraud happening, right? So let's kind of maybe dig into that. And I would love to maybe start with you, Mayor. What are the blind spots today that enterprises are facing when it comes to fraud? And why is fraud at an all-time staggering high?
I think that in the end of the day, we are human and we want user experience. And people are falling back to the easier user experience. You cannot force a high-level executive to switch two keys simultaneously to unlock a transaction. Yeah. Ready? Let's do it.
No, you can't go to the highest security, sure.
And people fall back, for example, on Google to OTP, which to a fate, which we all know that is the worst transparent way to send codes. And I can tell you stories about how we used to send SMS in my old days to Thailand and other places, and the code is going as a clear text. Your code is, and everybody see it.
Yeah.
And people fall back to that. So I think that the friction in the market creating this gap, and unless we can come up, or there is going to start, people will start to adopt solutions that are with zero friction, we will always have a gap between technology and between what user adopt.
So Travis, talk about, I know SLC Digital is working on a whole new paradigm shift. Talk about why apps today are allowing fraudsters. What are the gaps that are there in apps? And why is it allowing for fraud to happen?
It's a very good question. And I think it comes down to architecture. So from my background, is ISO 7016 is secure silicon. Secure silicon in SIMs and eSIMs and cards and so on should be ubiquitous as it relates to root of trust. And as you mentioned, Mayor, is this fast-paced, ubiquitous cloud, iOS and Android, this very fast-paced of user experience and so on, we have forgotten this architectural elements. Also, regulation in the world have forced mobile networks, banks and cloud and everyone to kind of work separately. And as you said, the tools are there to bring it together in an orchestrated way to make a difference and stop this.
Yeah. And as you know, regulators are also taking a very drastic measure. UAE just announced that in 2026, in March, OTPs and SMS have to be deprecated both on email as well as SMS. So talk a little bit about that. What are you seeing?
I think the regulation is very interesting player here, because to tell you that you cannot use OTP, it's the easiest thing that everybody should do.
Right.
But on top of that, do I trust an American company to handle identities of people in Dubai? Do I trust an American company to handle Canada?
Right.
Or vice versa.
Right.
So the operator piece, or what we are talking about, adding the identity to the connectivity makes sense, because this is the last mile.
It is.
And the last mile is always regulated.
Yes.
And it's regulated by the people that gave you the permission to operate in this country. So I think that allowing to do authentication on the last mile will solve a lot of regulation problems. So don't always only tell me what not to do. The regulator can force banks to do transaction only with solid signatures.
Right.
And if it's a SDK of an iPhone, maybe it's not as solid as SIM-based authentication.
No, that's brilliant. And we'll talk a whole lot more about self-sovereign identity in a minute. But I would love to hear your point of view on, okay, so how do we solve it? So apps are not secure. We have a very disparate set of tools enterprises have, easy, no friction solution. So what is the solution that you're working on that actually, how do we now go beyond the app layer, and how do we actually bring connectivity and a layer that is beyond, that is phishing resistant? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that if we start with everything we know, the Microsofts and the Apples, the cloud guys, right? They've retreated this last year and said that we're not going to service, as you mentioned, the last mile. That's identity and actually the endpoint or the edge authentication mechanism or methodology. They're going to bolster their ecosystems, their servers, their data centers, their secure silicon on servers. So the last mile needs to be served. And I do believe that mobile networks with SIM technology have succeeded. It hasn't been broken. Well, it was 25 years ago, but not, and it is unhackable at this point. So I do believe that secure silicon in the form of a SIM and eSIM is paramount for root of trust and all identity. How we deploy it in the various use cases are what we're doing now.
Yeah. And look, the network signals are brilliant. In fact, the network signals can tell where a person is located, what's the status of a device is, whether it is stolen, it is jailbroken, everything. Why haven't we tapped into that till now? And what has stopped? What are the barriers? Talk to us about the barriers.
This is a legacy mobile network question about the industry cooperation, but no, maybe Mehor, I have my own views on that. But
I think that again, it goes back to what is the easiest way to do. And as long as people will allow two-factor authentication to go over SMS, the industry will not adopt to the next phase.
Right.
And everybody knows stories about a guy that was on a flight, and in the time that he was on a flight, his identity got hacked, his SIM got stolen, right. And then he lost all of his crypto.
Yeah.
We all know stories like that. And to combine social engineering, human engineering, social engineering with technology that is lacking, that's the problem. We are big believer that there is two things that happening. One, the cellular provider are losing the content. They lost the SMS, they lost the phone calls. They need to reinvent themselves.
Yes.
So they are losing the content. They are the owner of the frequencies, so they provide the last mile.
Yes.
They will keep doing that.
Yes.
They are the owner of the SIM card. They can add the identity solution like what you guys are doing on the SIM cards. It's a big ecosystem. There are big operators. Many needs to adopt it. We are happy that we are an enabler in the beginning, but I think that it's not only our game. Everybody needs to be able to adopt it, either as a secondary SIM, as we talked before, or on the primary SIM. And then it's also good for the operators because now they are reinventing themselves as the regulator told them to be in this country. Yeah. Well, because you expect your operator to safeguard you.
Yes, yes. Well, all the networks since the beginning, ever since the internet and all this traffic, it didn't want to be dumb bit pipes. They want to make all the money these cloud guys are making. They want to get the market caps up there. They're seeing the Microsoft's getting $4 trillion and everything else. I do believe, and I endorse that, is the mobile network as a focal coming into banking and other industries to solve identity and the fraud with OTPs is a must. Yeah.
And,
so earlier, the three
just
of us...
to add on that, I think one of the biggest benefits of a cellular is that it separates the control plane and the user plane. And this is powerful features that come with cellular that we don't have on Wi-Fi and we don't have in other cases. And if cellular provider will continue in this path and we use the user plane for the actual data, but the control plane for the signatures, this is a solid way for them also to make more money.
So, earlier we were talking about the need to actually build a standard because right now everybody, every country, every jurisdiction, every enterprise is treating this in a very siloed manner. So what would it take to bring together a standard? And I know this is close to your heart, so maybe we start with you, Travis. Yeah.
It's interesting. I look at standards from my own experiences. Unlike cloud, which is ubiquitous, is that you need standardization. And I'll go back to 3GPP. And in the days of digital, you had GSM, the Europeans, and California with CDMA, and the Swedes with TDMA and so on. And they all fought. And we didn't have this ubiquitous deployment where every mobile service was the same and could be utilized on a global basis. And without 3GPP and that standardization, we would not have mobile what it is today. We have to take that view now, create alliances, and create a standard that can benefit the entire industry. And that's where we're going. And that's one of the reasons that we love working with Monogoto, because you represent connectivity in a standard way globally to any device that needs security and authentication.
Yeah. We saw it on the FIDO Alliance that is helping on enterprise level to authenticate devices. I think that similar move on more SLCs, more Monogotos, and more banks and authorities to adopt technology of signatures on SIM card, it's amazing.
It is. And what's interesting is when you think about it, is everyone looks at SIM in the marketplace today and say it's fragmented. It's like you said, silos everywhere. I do believe that 2026 is the year with us working together that we can open this up so it's not so fragmented in the marketplace.
Yeah, need to make more awareness for this solution. So the more companies will talk about signature on a SIM card. And I think on a SIM card is the ultimate. First, because eSIM is publicly available, so there is no hassle of installing a physical plastic in another device. And this is, as you said in the beginning, this is for now. Only maybe some government can hack into it. So for now, this is a very trusted silicon that if you deploy a private key over there, like to most of my understanding, it's very, very hard to take it out from there.
Very hard.
So let's say that a bank brings in SLC and Monogo to connect this intersection. What benefits are they getting when they bring in a solution like this?
Well, the biggest crisis that pops into my head is when bank employees call their customers, the customers have no idea it's the bank.
I never answer. You know what I'm telling them?
You're the bank and you prove it to me. They can't do it. How could they do it? So, in this world of man-in-the-middle attacks, is that the banks are, these. So we need solutions, and the banks are screaming for
something. And they cannot send you an SMS
because it's hijacked.
Yeah, so there is nothing that I can. And guys, I'm in the industry. When DHL are calling me, I tell him, I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know that you're DHL. You might be phishing now.
That's right. That's right.
And with AI, you said before, and with speech. Like, how do you call it when you fake my speech? It's not so hard anymore.
Yeah.
You can't believe anything. So we talked about it before. If my things, which is my iPhone, my Wi-Fi phone, maybe my car, because the car has a SIM card, can identify that this is who is talking to, that's the best way.
No, absolutely. So before a critical financial transaction goes out, a bank can actually verify, is this the person who actually approved the transaction? The location of the person that...
But not only that, like Travis just said, I can make sure that the bank is talking to me.
Exactly. It is the most secure channel that is established between an enterprise and a customer, and that communication channel is not available anywhere else. There is no phone number, there is no no over the air. It's absolutely secure. So that is what I think is a very important channel of communication. So let's shift a little bit into privacy and data, right? So we talk a lot about consumers' identity. By the way, my passport, your passport, our driver's license probably is on the internet, and everybody seems to have it because we send it by email and it's all there.
But it's got a chip.
What's that?
The passport has a chip.
An image, yes.
Is it used? Is it used? Infrequent.
It should be.
So, but a user doesn't have control on which enterprise and which entity is actually getting access to their data. And sometimes enterprise use multiple affiliates downstream to actually give access to their data. So let's talk about self-sovereign identity. I know it's close to all of our hearts. We want to shift the power back to the user so that user has access and can actually define who has information and which enterprise has it. So
And
talk
can
to us about
revoke it.
what that.
You can revoke it.
Revoke it too, yeah. So yeah.
Not a lot of us know that if you don't have hardened, closed environments, these mobile phones, everything is being surveyed. There's so much problem with data today is that sovereignty and self-sovereignty of data, just to start with, and then self-sovereignty and identity is a must. There's no way with so much information on public, private, dark web, everything else, we need to be able to control who accesses my data, what they use it for. And I always, recently it's become almost a personal purpose when we talk to the industry leaders, and they're saying, listen, we have children, we have to protect their data in the future and their identities and their profiles and so on. So self-sovereign, identity and data and so on is a must. And I do believe that this architecture leads itself as a great platform to solve all this.
Easy. Think about any person. You have the medical, that is everybody know my medical record. I have my car. Now, maybe I want my doctor to see the medical. I can give him permission.
That's exactly
And then
right.
I can revoke the permission.
That's
and
exactly
if I want to change from one insurance provider to another, I don't need him to send my data to the other. I just need to revoke one key and to enable another key. So it's easy to do it. But without an ecosystem of player, chicken and egg, whatever you want to call it, we will never get there. And I think that here on the SIM card, I can store anything from my bank information, my social media, my medical information, and I can control who have access to it. And if my doctor wants to see it, he will see it. And if he finish seeing it, I can lock it back to me.
But when you mentioned self-sovereign medical records and proxies or agreeing and signing off for service and so on, you're going to have various doctors looking at various different things. You need to orchestrate that, more of that self-sovereign. I need to prove this doctor to do that. There's so much abuse and problems. It would actually change the treatment and the precision of treatment.
We need to flip. I don't need Apple to hold my keys and give them permission. I need to switch it to me.
In recent discussions about consumer, do you want the cloud guys to own your identity, or do you want it? Because that's where it's at. You just nailed it.
And
by the way,
hard.
if you talk to any one of those cloud guys, they're not in the identity business. They're in a username business.
So as an example, yesterday, in fact, before I came here for the convention, I spent 5 hours changing my password on at least 20 to 25 apps because some password was leaked and data was compromised, and I had to go and change. It took 5 hours. So with the current state of fraud and the data leaks, we are putting so much burden on the consumer because the data has leaked. Now the consumer is left holding the bag, trying to figure out what to do.
And you don't know how many years of your life you are losing every time this happens.
That's right.
You know that I'm afraid of changing my phone number. Every time I change my phone number from T-Mobile and AT&T, I lose 2 years of my life. It's frustrating. Just to move a number in a self-sovereign identity is just a simple task. And you need, you don't know, you need a code from Verizon. And you need to take the code from Verizon and give it to T-Mobile. And T-Mobile need to provide.
Well, why don't we start with a very simple one? Global password reset or a new...
It's mine.
It's mine.
And if we go back to the regulator, if the regulator is telling AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, there is an applet on the phone, maybe standard, maybe similar.
Right.
It even don't need to start as everybody the same because signature on SIM cards are here from early 90s. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And it's solid way. And if a regulator is starting to decide that this is the way kids protecting their identities, we protect our medical record, I think it's also easy to adopt.
Well, we're in the artifact business, right? we're all unique, and we got to start. We're not all the same numbers in a database, and I think that's where it's going.
Yeah.
Our data, our uses, our behavior, and then that gets into is that when you have the identity, things change all the time. So very interesting.
In a romantic way, I always think about how many times, if I have Facebook, let's say that I have Facebook access my data to harvest it.
Oh, all the time.
I don't know.
You have no idea.
I cannot revoke it.
No.
It's like there are so many things that are wrong today,
Yes.
and self-sovereign identity I don't mind the Facebook, but let me own the key.
Yeah.
And if you want to harvest my data, let me revoke it whenever I want, and let me allow it.
But think about the shopping experience in the future with self-sovereign ID. Oh, Mayor, welcome to Apple. What devices do you want? Because you're known, you have money, you're going to buy this. You go into this is a new future, and it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
I mean, look, e-commerce was great in the beginning. Now it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
It takes you 30 minutes to buy $5 with OTPs and all this going on and fraud alerts. It's amazing.
Anything else that you would like to add?
It's a very romantic future and conversation. You need to start with, let's say, transactions, signatures, and solving some other problems along the way. So it's like one of these things that you know how it ends, but you don't know how the puzzle will evolve. But we all know about the end game here.
Yes.
So I'll wrap it up by saying, look, trust today is, we burden our users with it. It is highly disparate, it is broken, it is siloed. And like we discussed, we need to bring an ecosystem together. We need to have regulators, we need to have all the players, we need to have the mobile networks, we need to have enterprises in there so that we can create a future that actually is based on standards and is adopted globally. Otherwise, the numbers, 80% of adults being scammed in 2025 is only going to become 100%, if not anything else.
Yeah, and I would add to that, and I said it before, is that 2026 is the year that the banking and other organizations are looking to mobile, right, and looking at bringing this together, and they're aware.
Yeah.
A year ago, you talked to Bank Mobile, what's a SIM? We don't know what. Now it's very prevalent. They're in the conversation. They know what root of trust is. They understand the secure silicon. They understand the mobile networks and the telemetry that comes with it. Now they can see a GPS feed for location, now a base station or a cell tower. So these are all becoming commonplace in conversations, which is exciting.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.